Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final chess event of every single calendar year, the World Blitz Championship, a convention of some of the strongest grandmasters in the world who spend 2 days playing speed chess against one another, 3-minute with 2-second bonus, to crown who is the best player in the world at Blitz. Magnus Carlsen usually wins this tournament. Last year, this tournament was not without controversy. The current defending champions are both Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepomniachtchi, with a split title. This edition this year has a new format once again. You might remember that last year, they had to play 13 rounds, and then the top 8 players qualified to a knockout. This year, they have to play 19 rounds, and then the top 4 players qualify to a knockout. So they have more time to play in an open, free-for-all style, and then they actually only make it to a 4-player knockout, which, okay, fine. Magnus has won like 5 out of the last 6, and he is chasing his 20th World Championship. As always, I will show you the Open, I will show you the Women's, I will show you some of the great storylines, some of the young players. One of my favorite things about this tournament is watching the 12-year-olds who are rated like 2,400 wallop people who are triple their age. That's one of the best things. Now yesterday I had a really bad flu symptoms. Today I'm feeling better. Today I have much more annoying symptoms. I have a really sore throat, cough, and my nose is just pouring mucus out, just in case you needed to know that. So I might have to blow my nose a couple of times during this recap. But let's go. Marco Materi. Bro, this should be an Italian flag. I mean, Materi. I mean, goodness me. But he might be from Corsica or whatever. You can be Italian, but have a French flag. That's allowed. Anyway, first game of the entire championship. Let's kick things off. Magnus goes for a King's Indian defense. This is one of the most reliable openings, period, but specifically in Blitz. In classical chess, the computer grants advantages to white in some 14 different lines, but that doesn't really matter because Blitz is Blitz. In Blitz, you do not have that much time to react. Magnus very quickly makes the game really weird against the young opponent, grabs the bishop pair, puts the bishop all the way back on c8. These kind of closed maneuvering games, not easy to navigate. Now white tries to get some liberties by taking space on the queen side. Magnus immediately fighting back, winning back the c5 square, the b6 square, and he's going to be applying pressure throughout. Here comes this nice move, f5. Think about it. You got 90 seconds to play this position. You don't have that much time to think. White, knight b3, pushes the rook back, advances. Very good play so far by the young IM from France. We have a trade. Magnus still under pressure some 20 moves later, but this is where crunch time happens. You'll notice that I have clicked through some 6 or 7 moves. Oh my gosh, you can't say those numbers anymore. Black still has the same amount of time. So Magnus has played every move in like 1 second. He's barely thinking. What will ultimately happen, not just in this game, but in basically every game I show you today, at some point the player cracks. You get below 30 seconds, you get below 20 seconds. You're really doing your best to navigate, but you at some point you got to stop and think, and you just don't have enough time. You got to outplay the best player in the world in a time scramble, and despite being equal for some 30 moves, at some point you will start slipping up. Queen g6. Now in comes Magnus hunting down your pawns. He's just gobbled up 2 of your pawns. What's crazy about this position is that it's still a little bit shaky. And actually, white manages to regain his footing just enough to start some sort of counterplay against Magnus's king. But Magnus, very nicely, walks out. Bishop h4 is a nice idea, but it just doesn't work. Actually, you can even take, giving up the rook. There is a checkmate here, which is sort of crazy that Magnus didn't see queen g3, queen e1, which is, like the idea here was queen h4, queen f7, but queen g3 just wins. King h1, queen g1, king here, and then you have to find bishop g1. Now, with 9 seconds, not so easy. Magnus plays the much more prudent move, queen g6 in about 1 second, and this is just a totally winning endgame. And Magnus does get a win against the French international master. And again, with this many rounds and this much time and everything, like, it doesn't really matter how you get things done, but we will have some more dramatic games coming up. We will have pieces flying off the board. Gonna have 1-move blunders. We're gonna have table slams. We're gonna have everything you want in a World Blitz Championship. Magnus gets his first win of the day. Now, on the board, a couple of boards away, Aronian, 27-74 versus Faustino Oro. Faustino Oro online is rated 3,200. 3,200. I have played him both on GothamChess and on my, I have an anonymous account where I practice my real tournament openings. And he's just impossible. Like, he is so strong now. I used to beat him, but that was like 2 years ago, which is like 20% of his lifespan. 20% of his life ago, I was able to beat him. Not anymore. He's on pace to become the youngest grandmaster of all time. He's also the strongest. He's also the youngest player to cross 2,500 ever in Classical Rapid and Blitz. Can he prove it on an elite stage like the World Blitz Championship? So he's playing Levon. Levon plays a sideline of the Sicilian, playing a very closed maneuvering game. From the opening, very balanced. Not much to write home about. Both guys kind of trying to maneuver, getting a feel for the position. D4 position resembles a Spanish or an Italian very much, but black doesn't have a pawn on E5. So it is a little weird for sure. But now we're going to get into a bullet-style scramble. They both have a minute to play this entire position. And will the experience survive? Levon is 40. Faustino is 12. Faustino might be 11. I think he turned 12 this year. He might actually be 11. I don't know. But I think he's 12. He just turned 12. Rook C1, Queen A7. 20 seconds for Faustino, 20 seconds for Levon. We have Rook C8, a trade of rooks. Faustino targeting the center, Levon targeting the knight. Now Faustino complicates things. 4-6. Just a pure scramble now. All right? Faustino trades, damages Levon's pawn structure. Bishop B5, an incredible little idea. I have no idea why this is given a brilliant move. I mean, I guess the point is that you're sacrificing the knight, but then there's Bishop F1. He's complicating things. He's encroaching on the queen side, but obviously still total stability here. But suddenly things start going very wrong for Levon right here. And he doesn't have any more play. Bishop F4 is incoming. Bishop E3 is a problem. He's threatening to win all of his pawns against the legend, and he's going to checkmate Levon and win his pawns. One is more important than the other. Levon goes for a little bit of counterplay. Faustino, absolutely sharp, transforms the game into a winning queen and pawn endgame. Just completely winning here. There are no checks to the black king. This pawn is going to get at minimum to D3, and then it's just going to promote because black has two passed pawns. And lo and behold, it takes some 50, 60 moves, but he gets a completely winning position, and he needs to stabilize his nerves a little bit. But it's over. Just the pawns roll down the board, and Levon Aronian goes down in the first round to Faustino Oro, the superstar from Argentina. I mean, he just beats one of the best players of the last 20, 30 years over the board. Just spectacular stuff, really. Just incredible. I mean, you cannot write the script any better. I would like to show you some of the other players of the tournament that had interesting starts. So after after this game, Lu Shanglei from China versus Daniil Dubov, the police were called. Dubov was in trouble for felony theft. He was arrested for felony theft. You're about to see why. This game, just absolute madness. Lu Shanglei opened up with an open Sicilian, F3, little bit of a sideline. Dubov employs a dragon-style setup. Bishop C4, Bishop G. This is just some interesting combative way to play the dragon. Lu Shanglei gets a faster attack than Dubov with Rook E1, winning a pawn. Dubov really overestimating his counterplay here. Played a little bit too quickly. Well, I spoiled it, but just I pressed the down arrow instead of the right button. But you didn't even see the result. Don't worry. Dubov really overestimated his counterplay, and Lu Shanglei got a totally crushing position here. King A1, very nice move, avoiding any light squared bishop checks, and the position was simply +3, and 2 pawns up for white. Now here, had white gone G4 or something along these lines, but Lu Shanglei here went back with his queen, and Dubov kept fighting. He repositioned his bishop very nicely, and suddenly things became not so clear once black got to play this A4 move. Practically speaking now, somehow you don't have a way in. You still want to go G4, but you are very aware that your king is about to be open. G4 is still the best move. Not easy to play, though. And within a few moves, not only did Lu Shanglei extinguish his own attack, he went here. And that is just not a good move. That move just hangs the pawn on D6. Obviously, he miscalculated something. Bishop b6 continues to apply the pressure. He hangs this pawn, and I think from here he was just reeling. Like, I think from here he just did not feel comfortable at all. His king had no breathing room. And Daniil Dubov goes from 2 pawns down and saves this game. And doesn't just save this game. With 1 pawn remaining on the board, he manages to win this game. Craziest part is, it's not even that he wins the game, he wins it on time. Lu Shanglei flagged. May I remind you, this was the position 24 moves into the game. Daniil Dubov was down a pawn, down 2 pawns, and under an incoming heavy assault on his king, and he saved this position. And this is what you need at this level. You need to not lose. Daniil just gave some interview where he said that his strategy for this tournament sounds simple, but it's just don't lose. And I mean, when you hold draws in positions like this, and you can also win them, Lu Shanglei sat staring at this board for like 10 minutes after this game was over. It was on camera. He couldn't believe it. He still had a really good day, and he has good chances to make the semis. Daniil had a very, very good first day of Blitz. Another guy who had a very good first day of Blitz is Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who a few years ago became the World Blitz champion. Excellent Blitz player. I think it's actually his best format. Now, I'd like to show you this game against Gukesh. Gukesh also had a pretty good first day, gaining a lot of rating, and I will show you some more of his games. A lot of MVL's games on the first day were Sicilians, both with black and with white. So he has a lot of experience playing Sicilian sidelines, Sicilian main lines. He plays a lot of different structures, but more than anything else, I would like to point out his speed. 20 moves into this game, he still has 220 on the clock. Now Gukesh tanked 40 seconds on a move. MVL does not go below 2 minutes in this game until move 26. And even then, if we click through until the 30th move, it's 126 to 17. He is a nightmare opponent, MVL. He's so fast. Every move he plays takes less than 5 seconds on average. We are now in the 40s. He has 113 on the clock. He's barely used half the clock time for 40 moves. Meanwhile, Gukesh has been at like under 30 seconds since move 28. So Gukesh constantly, he's been under 20 seconds since move 30. Every move now, he's barely playing in 2 to 3 seconds. Now he has 11 seconds, and what ultimately happens, even if you're 40 moves into the game, you will be outplayed. And in this game, MVL outplays Gukesh in a dynamic endgame, 2 pawns up, and advances his king, advances, and he's going to win the 3rd pawn. He never went under a minute. 56 moves by Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. He didn't go under a minute. I think at any point, he had 101 a few times. He won this game with a minute timeouts. He could have played 3-2, and he might have won the game. I mean, he's so fast. He's so fast. He had an amazing first day. He didn't lose. He lost 1 game. Maxime lost in the 2nd round, but he won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. 8-1 wins, losses. One of the best Blitz players in the world. By far, 10 out of 13, tied for first after the first day. We'll show you some more games. A player who had a ridiculous start was Jordan van Foreest, the Dutch Grandmaster. He played a lot of King's Indians. Very nice opening to play. Knight A6, very fun line. Knight D2 is some super sideline. Actually, Knight A6 was the Nereditsky. King's Indian. Still doesn't feel like a real timeline. May he rest in peace. I don't know if this is the time or place, but we still have absolutely not heard anything from the folks that organize the World Rapid Blitz Championships and their ethics complaint or committee or whatever. That's we better hear something. Knight to D2. Knight to D2 is certainly a weird move. There are some really deep ideas in the King's Indian, like now if white plays E5, if black plays E5, you know, the knight is coming here to trade this knight on C5. Like there is some really, really deep stuff here. So he just goes back to B8, which is kind of hilarious. Now the game proceeds like normal, except white has a knight on D2. At some point, he's going to have to move it. Now check this out. Bishop H6. This is some deep stuff, looking to trade off the dark squared bishop because black obviously already has a very passive dark squared bishop. Alireza built up a very nice position in this game, but Jordan was really feeling it early in this tournament, and Alireza played just a little bit too slowly, and that's so important. As we saw there in the Gukesh game, you cannot mismanage your clock time. Jordan proceeds to outplay Alireza Firouzja over 40-50 moves in a time scramble in an endgame. Firouzja playing on 5 seconds. You could be the best player in the world. You can't play chess with 5 seconds on the clock. He just goes down a pawn, and he had chances to draw this game, but this is just a losing king and pawn endgame. Alireza should not have taken the knight. And after 55 moves, you know, your nerves just give out. That's just what happens. He should have moved the knight literally anywhere else, except here and here. But anywhere else that doesn't lose the knight, the game is a draw. And Jordan just wins this position. I mean, Alireza just a moment of madness, trades the knights. It's just losing. Jordan van Foreest started this tournament with 6 out of 6, beating Erigaisi, beating Alireza. Unfortunately, after 6 out of 6, he only won 2 out of his next 5. 2 out of his next 7, actually. So he had 6 out of 6. He finishes 8 out of 13. That's, yeah. Chess is hard. Chess at this level is just really, really tough. Meanwhile, I think this was my favorite Magnus game of the day. And then we're going to get into the memes. We're going to get to Magnus throwing a piece off the board. That's always fun. And slamming a table is, you know, relative. So here he's playing the Belgian Grandmaster Dardha, who plays a little bit of a sideline. We get kind of a closed, strange Sicilian thing. D6, rook e1, and in a lot of these weird Sicilians, when the player with white is behaving very strangely, like this, just kind of weirdly maneuvering pieces around, black can take a lot of kingside pawn liberties. G5, H5. Happens quite a lot when white tries to play very, very odd Sicilians, doesn't open the center too fast. Even as early as like move 3-4 nowadays, with a knight on f3, G5, G4 has become a very potent idea. Magnus in this game, playing like I would in Blitz, you know, H5, H4, H3, kind of playing, you know, caveman chess. You know, D4, Dardha kind of tries to ignore him, but this kind of just justifies everything that black is doing. The center opens up. Dardha plays knight c3 here, but Magnus now begins applying very, very heavy pressure to the king side. He doesn't castle. He jumps in. You know, Dardha goes for very nice counterplay. I have to give him credit. E5 is a very nice idea, sacrificing a pawn, and then even sacrificing his queen, kind of. He wins it back. The problem is, in this ensuing endgame, Magnus is just cleanly up a pawn. Here there was maybe a moment he could have taken this. I don't think that you can actually take back on a4 because black plays a5 and just wins the endgame in the long run. But it doesn't particularly matter because Magnus stays up the pawn, and, you know, being one of the best endgame players in the world certainly has its benefits, as Dardha is unable to, in the long run, defend this position. It looks like a draw, but it's actually not. The white king is mated. He's actually mated. Dardha here needed to go backwards, but then he was going to lose anyway. So suddenly it is black winning a rook endgame anyway in Blitz. King e4, rook d3, Magnus 2 pawns up, and will get the job done here by simply promoting his pawn. Very nice game. Attacking dynamics mixed with endgame stuff. But now we get to the craziest part of the day. So I was waiting to see how is Magnus going to lose. I don't think Magnus is going to go undefeated. I think as you age, Blitz gets harder. I'm not calling him an old man, but he's like 32, 33. You know, he's playing these absolute monsters. Here's his game against Arjun Erigaisi, who also had a fantastic day of chess. So Magnus versus Arjun. I mean, now you are seeing this like anti-Sicilian nonsense just all the time. H3. You know, black can sort of do anything. Arjun plays a6. Okay. Now we have whatever this is, right? It's kind of an advanced French type of thing. Arjun playing very creative chess, puts his bishop back on a6, doesn't let Magnus castle. Magnus doesn't choose the best way in the opening, but it's a game. Arjun grabs a pawn. Magnus has to go king d2. Let me tell you something right now. When Magnus set out to play this game, this is not what he was looking for. This was not what he was looking for. Arjun goes back. Arjun is really nasty in these uncompromising positions. The white king just in the middle, like what is going on? But Magnus finds a way. He creates a little bit of stability, tiny bit. He's fighting back, 10 seconds on the clock. Hey, what I said stands, even if you're Magnus Carlsen. You cannot play with this low time for too long. Your nerves give out. Bishop e4, rook d8. Now the white king has to run, but Arjun very nicely here castles the king, and for some 20 moves just applies pressure. He has the outside pass pawn. You know, Magnus goes for a little bit of counterplay, and he gets the counterplay, but he's still a pawn down. Arjun defending, finding a way forward. It's -2. That was a mistake. You should not have allowed the white knight to g5. Now, this is maybe Magnus's best chance in a while. e5 played. Magnus goes queen b6. Arjun goes knight d4. What happened? So Arjun's first move in like 20 moves, knight d4. The idea of knight d4 is to set up queen c6 and queen d5 checks against this king, but it loses the pawn on a5, and it's actually the worst move he's made in a long time. But why does it say won and lost? Well, Arjun played knight d4. Magnus, you know, the way you take a piece, you'll look at the position, the pawn on a5 over there. You pick the pawn up, and you slide the queen to take the pawn. I mean, another way that you can do this is you can take the queen and chop the pawn. You can take the queen. There's a few moves to move it. There's a few ways to move a chess piece. Magnus picked up the pawn, and when he slid the queen to take it, he threw the queen off the board. Now, I actually don't know what the rule is. If you throw the queen off the board, can you pause the clock to go pick it up? Or is the whole field in play? Like, how does that work? Like, what if you throw the queen off the board and it lands under a table and it's inaccessible? Like in baseball, right? Or it's like a ground rule double. It bounces and goes into the stands. I don't know what the rule is, but he tried to pause the clock and he flagged. He lost on time already. So he picked up the pawn, he threw his queen off, like, off the table, and he was frazzled. He went to get it, and then was like, crap, I gotta pause the clock, but he had already lost on time. That whole process took 4 seconds, because he only had 4 seconds on the clock. And then, he slammed and then shook hands. And to be honest, the tables in Qatar are much more sturdy, because either he didn't slam as hard, or those tables are really bolted into the ground. They're Magnus slam-proof. But kind of hilarious. 2 times now in the same year, and against 2 bright stars from India. It's pretty funny, Gukesh and Arjun. No, I mean, he was furious, and to his credit, he had survived the worst of it. He was just trying to take this pawn and have an equal position, and Arjun Erigaisi with the win. Wild, absolutely wild. Uh-oh, now here comes another viral moment, right? Last time he pushed the camera, and then he won like every game he played. So all eyes on Magnus. Now, I do want to cover not just meme games. I would also like to cover, like, very well-played games. That was a very well-played game. Abdusattorov also had a much better day in Blitz than in Rapid. This one from Erigaisi, another just amazing game, great time management. Arjun is so freaking good in getting a good position in any opening, in any situation, especially in speed games, Rapid and Blitz. His style, what is bishop c5, knight e7? If you look at the openings database, this early bishop c5 is like, it's some new thing. Computers have allowed you to play this. And then putting the knight on e7 and then on g6 is like, nobody plays chess like this anymore. Nobody, But now, in 2025, you see tons of games here because you could do whatever you want now. You used to have to put your knight on f6 in the Spanish, not anymore, And in this format, you don't have enough time to remember the ideas. With 2 hours on the clock, you do. And so that's why these ideas in Blitz work really well. Because look, Arjun's better with black. Like, he is so good at being better with black or with white. After 15, 20 moves, he has an excellent repertoire for Blitz chess. And frankly speaking, hot take, classical chess is not dead by any stretch of the imagination, but the ability to outplay your opponent in any structure, in any opening, with a time constraint of like 15 or 5 or 3 minutes, that really shows chess ability. If you give somebody like 3 hours to remember everything that they have on their computer, that's not chess ability. You know what I mean? So the fact that Arjun can play literally any type of position at this level, I mean, one of the best players in the world, hands down. And Nurala as well, fighting back from a bad position. But again, time is going to be the death of everybody. And bishop takes f2. Just an unbelievable move. Rook f2, you queen. King f2. Queen c5 comes in. And you just take on e6. And this pawn's just here. It's going to promote. I'm going to win your knight. Nurala 4 seconds on the clock. It's just not going to get it done. Arjun, just the Terminator, man. Queen d8, impossible. You're going to promote to a knight, by the way. Of course. Not even a queen. Just make the knight, you know, and win the game. And he beat Nurala. He's 10 out of 13 as well. Another player, 10 out of 13, is the winner of this game. Winner of this game is a co-leader after day one. This was a Philidor defense. Magnus, again, another one of these guys, especially in Blitz. I mean, he's won 19 world championships, you know? So it's kind of hard to compare him in the same sentence with Arjun. But what I'm going to say is, like, he's another guy, especially in Blitz. He will play any opening, any structure. Doesn't matter, right? Here we see him playing a Philidor against Fabi. Knight b6, managing to kind of squeeze out of the congestion on the queen side. Bishop d8, you know, going to the back rank, Karpovian style. Bishop d8, knight e8, it's how Karpov used to play. Bishop e3 puts more pressure. We have knight c4 trading. Fabi, knight d2, rook back to c7. Now, the time has been a problem for Magnus on the first day here of the Blitz. He does get into time trouble quite a bit. Fabi, meanwhile, gives away a pawn and gets his knight to c6. Magnus here plays bishop g5, looking to trade the dark squared bishops. We have takes, rook a7, rook c2, knight b5. So the idea here for black is that his rook is hanging, and after you trade the rooks, then you will play bishop d3, and you have to kind of unwind. You're still up a pawn, but it's not so simple. You're going to be under a lot of pressure, e8, etc. Magnus does something pretty relatable here. The knight moves to target the rook, and he attacks the knight and hangs the rook in one move and resigns. Welcome to the World Blitz Championship, folks. Now, chess purists look at a position like this and go, well, this is just stupid. I mean, Blitz is just for fun, and classical is supreme. I get it. But I think managing your nerves and not making one-move blunders is also a skill. But I understand. I get it. It's valid. Yeah, crazy. Throwing your queen off the board is one thing. That's definitely, like, that makes sense. But bishop d3, knight c7 certainly does not make sense. That is pretty wild. Yeah, I think he wanted to take, and he somehow just, like, forgot about taking, because then bishop d3, and he's fine. Rook a8, bishop b5, rook e8, king h7, game goes on. Insane. This is how Fabi beat Magnus in the World Blitz Championship. Wild. Yeah, crazy. Now, I will show you some other games. Carlsen bounced back from this loss. He played against Radjabov, Timur, in the last round. And he went, like, again, another opening, another weird structure, Jobava London, you know, playing any type of structure, anytime, anywhere, any place, rook c1, rook c2, just building up slowly on the queen side, applying pressure on Radjabov, avoiding a queen trade, knight back to b1, looking for b3. Radjabov goes for counterplay, but it just doesn't work. And this little maneuver weakens the king side. And now Radjabov just loses the knight. I don't exactly know what happened here. I think he realized here that he was too late for the counterplay. Like here, Radjabov could have went queen a8 and been fine. Put his knight back on b6. Maybe he thought he was already in severe trouble. Maybe he thought he had queen d6 here, but none of it actually works. He just loses the knight, and yeah, Magnus, pretty smooth end to the day after a rough game against Fabi. Oops. Yeah, after a rough game against Fabi, he bounces back with a nice win. He ends the first day with 9 out of 13. Last year, 9 out of 13, 9.5 made it to the playoff, 9.5 points. What's funny is that this year, if they had the same format as last year, Magnus is out of the final 8. So the format last year was really wild, man. Really wild in New York. In Qatar, they have more players, I think. And also, yeah, the format this year is they have to play 19 rounds. Now, Fabi beat Magnus. Gukesh also had a very, very strange day. He lost to MVL, but look at this game against Smokey. Hans. I really like saying Hans Smokey, but that's not his name, and I like to respect people's names. Check out this game. Check out this Rossalimo outplaying. Gukesh wins this game like it's Tata Steel. Just like absolute start to finish bludgeoning. 95% accuracy. In the Rossalimo, you damage the pawns, then you put a lot of your things on light squares. Look, put the knight on c4, expand on the queen side. Black goes for counterplay. You strike in the center. You win the pawn on the queen side. You have tactics in the center. Black's pieces are poorly coordinated. You go up material. There's just nothing. There's nothing even to analyze in this game. Just a bludgeoning from Gukesh. An amazing game. Hans on the first day got 7.5 out of 13. He had a rough day. But in particular, who had a really amazing day is my guy, Goutham. Goutham Krishna. You thought it was just a Rapid story, right? You thought, oh, just a Cinderella story in the Rapid. Yo, my guy in this format is playing, the chess of his life. Even in Blitz, he plays b3 every game. Hans clearly going for some sort of like super combative type of thing, right? With h5, h4 on the board. But meanwhile, Goutham, he just plays very well, man. He just has a very annoying playing style, just very good positionally, very solid. He's obviously okay with draws because his rating is 2300. And Hans complimented him quite a lot. He respected his play quite a bit from the Rapid, and he grinded him down in that game. But yeah, Goutham in this one wins a positional / tactical shootout, just up multiple pawns. Crazy. And Hans Niemann plays king d5. The game's just over here because you just move the rook and you promote the pawns. Goutham ended the first day on the same score as Magnus Carlsen. Goutham has 9 out of 13 points. 9 out of 13 points. With wins against Zimliansky, Adiban, Jules Moussard from France, Jaime Santos from Spain, Rabbi Kevlishvili from the Netherlands, Lenier Dominguez, Hans Niemann, and Jordan van Foreest, who was leading the tournament. This dude is up 140 Blitz rating points. Who is this dude? Who is he? How does India print a new Grandmaster level player like every 5 minutes? This is crazy. He better get a bunch of invitations, bro. And by the way, people in the comment section were like, you should play him in a match. No, I shouldn't. Why would I do that? He should continue to be 27, 30 rated players. This dude is a problem. He's a problem. Now, let's pop over to the women's real quick. They play less games. And they also right now have a very tight race at the top. We have Salimova versus Asobayeva. Bibisara, one of the best players in the world. I think she's also a defending world champ. If not, then she's won it before. I can't. I think Ju and June won it last year. I think it was Ju and June and Humpy. But Bibisara has won the gold before. And if I'm spreading misinformation, whatever, at least the type. And in this game, Nurgül made one mistake. She played king g2. e5. e4. The bishop is trapped. That's Blitz. After 10 rounds of action, it's very normal that something like this happens. You make some mistake. And Bibisara, yeah, she just played a very decent game. She won. She is one of the co-leaders after the first day. She had a very, very good performance. We had Candela versus Eline Roebers from, I can't say Dutch names. Candela is one of the best players from Argentina. We had one of these, again, anti-Sicilians. You're seeing them all the time now. People are playing whatever they want in Blitz. Elina also had a very good first day. A very good dynamic player in her own right. Black fell under pressure very early in this game, and White just needs to transform the game into a winning endgame, but was unable to do that. Gave Elina way too much counterplay, 20 seconds on the clock, and suddenly the black pawn is the one queening, not even the white pawns that were so far advanced. And g4 comes, the knight has to leave, and in comes bishop c3 with the knight coming in, and that's just it. She just cleared out the position. The knight has to, the rook has to move, but it has no moves. Elina wins. Now, here's an incredible story. Umida Omonova. You might have never heard of this person before, because I haven't. I have never heard of this person before. And that's my favorite part about these tournaments. Uzbek player, 19 years old, played in the Women's World Cup earlier this year from Uzbekistan. And yeah, she had quite a day. She had quite a day. This game I'm going to be clicking through against Zarina Nurgalieva, another person I have never heard of, like, ever. One of the favorite things about the World Rapid and Blitz, especially on the women's side, because a lot of these players, they have their breakthroughs here, because in classical chess, these players don't have an opportunity to play some of the other elite events, because those are invitationals. Because the chess world is stupid. Well, stupid is mean. It's just how they've done things forever. White tries and tries and tries. The knights get in, and Umida wins. Queen e6 would have been more prudent. Knight takes b6, queen b6, knight e7. The game would have continued. Umida from Uzbekistan, 8 out of 10 on the first day. 8 out of 10. 8 wins, 2 losses. Problem is those 2 losses were against 2 of the leaders. So she does have to win against them. And the defending World Rapid champion, who just became the world champion again on the previous day, also had a very nice day. Anna Shukman is one of the best rising women in the world right now. Very, very good player. Problem is Goryachkin has been one of the best women in the world for like 10 years. So, you know, you got the future versus the present. And Goryachkin in this game goes for solidity. There was maybe some threat of repetition there, but ultimately, like I said, when you have less than 10 seconds on the clock, it's just not going to survive in the long run. And White in this game, these queen endgames, super tricky in Blitz, but Goryachkina finds her way. She brings the king out to avoid any perpetual checks. She wins a pawn. She continues to avoid perpetual check. Maybe there are some drawing chances, but not if you get mated. King g6, h5. And these are your standings. The women, after their first 10 rounds, Elina winning the tournament 8.5, but obviously they have to play and they have to make their own final. These 3, Umida, Antoinetta, and Goryachkina with 8. Couple of 7.5s in here. Shout out Carissa Yip, Team USA. And for the gentlemen, Arjun, Maxime Fabiano, Dubov, Lu Shanglei, Yu Yangyi, Jobava. We'll cover some more of these games. Just too many games to cover. Nojibek, Carlsen, Bushangji. You have to go down to the 20th person to have 9 points. These guys have like just a few more rounds to figure out. They got round 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. They have 6 more games. Magnus is a point out of first with 6 games to go. He has to be a top 4, man. He's got to win a couple of games. He can't lose. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy at all. So yeah, that's your first day of action. See you all tomorrow for the final recap of the year. Get out of here.